today. Yes, what gets in the way of doing work we love? Thank God it's Friday. Please, let's not talk about work today. I cannot wait to retire. I'm exhausted every day after work. I hate Mondays. I cannot wait for the weekend. That's the language that many of us use or hear all day, every day. And it seems like it's normal. We don't even question that. And then we came up with this concept called work-life balance. Well, we want to keep them separate, but they really are not. So if you draw a picture of a circle, and if that represents your life, work is another circle inside that life circle, right? So it's not separate. But we have usually disliked, hated our job so much that we want to keep it separate. But the news is it's not. And the balance that we create could be our choice, right? That circle inside the big life circle that we call work can get smaller when we have a baby. It can get larger when we have a new career or when we start a new business. So the reason I mentioned that is because it is not separate. That means work that we do definitely affects our lives, right? And what we are told, like, and it, I was one of them years ago, is that you bring your professional self to work, Brooke. And I didn't even understand how I'm supposed to do that. We can't divide ourselves up to, oh, this is my professional side. Let me bring that with me and leave the other part at home. That doesn't work. And we all know it, right? If you have a baby, and which I did at the time, who was sick, and you go to work, unfortunately, yes, you are bringing that worry to work. And the same thing applies from work to our personal life too. So we go to work and we're stressed out. We wish we don't bring it to home, to our families, but we do. And our children see it if we're stressed out, if we hate work. That's the notion that they start to get about work. That's why we're in this situation right now, right? So it's a sad way to live because it's like now we're calculating 90,000 hours spent at work. And that's only going to get larger and bigger because we live longer. And then the retirement money that we have is never enough. So we want to work even longer hours for many, many more years. So chasing that weekend or the retirement is not a good and great way to live, but we somehow accepted that. And I have so many statistics about that, but one thing that always breaks my heart coming from Everybody Matters book, it says that 80% of people at work do not even think they matter. Not matter, at least it is a human being, right? So this is actually where we came. So, but what brought us here? I don't have the time to talk about all the research and the history, but we know that as we started the factory age, what we were made to believe is that work is a means to an end. So that's not where you look for enjoyment or fun or meaning. You just go to work, make money, come back, and hopefully you have the time to spend that money on something you enjoy. And then we accepted the fact that it could be repetitive, it could be boring, it could be tolling on our health, right? And then we suffer through it until we reach the great bliss, which is the unpromised retirement. And why do I call it unpromised? Because yes, we don't know if we're going to get there. Hopefully we will, but we don't also know if we're going to be healthy enough to do all the things that we delayed for that long. So we chase the weekends, we chase the retirement, we hate 5 days out of 7, or at least dislike, or we suffer through it. And we're definitely not in the now as we know we want to be because we're delaying life, either for the weekend or for the holiday or for the retirement. And this is the way we lived for so long. At least for some generations, that kind of work like gave them some stability, some job security, right? At least that gave them a peace of mind. What we know today, that's not possible either. I am Generation X, and my generation is probably one of the very last ones who were able to hold a job for long if they wanted to. Now I'm talking to hundreds and hundreds of people, and when I ask them how long have you were able to keep this job, they say 2, 3, or 4. I'm not kidding. So that stability is gone. So no stability. We don't like it. We don't use our strengths. We don't enjoy it. We suffer through it and we wait and delay our life. So I'm thinking, how about enjoying what we do, using our strengths, using our passion, doing something that matters to us and hopefully for others, right? Loving our Mondays. How wonderful would that be? Because we just, TGIF is such a big part of this English language, right? Everybody loves Fridays. And even if I love my job, of course, Fridays has a different place in my heart, but it's very different to feel the stomach ache it, even in the Sunday evening. That's what they found out. 3:58 p.m., believe it or not, you start to feel this crunch in your stomach because that's how much you hate your job. And this is what we created, unfortunately. And when I questioned these things 25 years ago, when I was working at IBM, making good money, working for this big brand name, I was ridiculed, really. It did not make me popular at all. So people were really checking if I'm sane enough. How come I'm thinking about this? Why am I not happy with the money I make? But I wasn't fulfilled. So I was determined to find something that I enjoy so that I don't keep chasing the weekends. And it doesn't mean, as it might occur to many of you, oh, she must have had so much money that she was able to quit her job. No, I did not. But I didn't want to live like this. And I was the strangest person on earth. But thank God nowadays we can talk about these conversations. And a lot of people are trying to push the envelope. So, what gets in the way then, right? The question that we started with. First of all, like I said, the conditioning from 150 years ago, the factory age, the industrial age told us the work is for means to an end. You just go there to get a paycheck. And then we believed it for a long time. So we never questioned the status quo, even if we felt bad, even if we got unhealthy or too stressed out. So believing in something and not asking the questions, the tough questions, in every other parts of our life is the thing that stops us from changing the things that's not working for us. And we believe that this is the way we need to live, and we need to wait for retirement or sometime good in life that we can do the things we want. We believe that we can hate our Mondays and love our Fridays. And then, of course, that bad old friend we all have, the imposter syndrome, right? Oh, who am I to look for a job? That's too much luxury. I should keep this job and don't think about it. Or not doing the work, inside work, because we have this individual responsibility to find out what we can do and what we want to do. But that's too much work for a lot of people from what I have experienced over the years. And the last thing I would say is not realizing that we have this collective power to change the status quo. If enough of us can question this, and that the workplace is not good enough and its suffering is caused for so much people, too many people, we can change it. Right? For anything else in the world, that's how things have changed. So we can change it because we are the ones who created this, nobody else. It's human beings who created this system. We as human beings can change it. So, what kind of a life would that be? First of all, we will not delay our lives, right? And then so much human potential is going to waste. And I see that every single day. People are willing to work. They are hardworking. They want to do something good with their lives, but we don't know how to use that potential. And we don't die for a paycheck. If you haven't read this book or heard about it, I want to show you, but I can't, I think, here. But it's called Dying for a Paycheck. And it's written by a Stanford professor, and it has all the different statistics about what it means to be dying for a paycheck, which is everything that we covered so far in much more detail. But one thing that I'm seeing, that I've been following these topics for more than 30 years now, I see that the change is happening. You have seen it through the pandemic, that we showed the world that we can do both. We can take care of our loved ones and be flexible and create the results we need at work. I see it everywhere with the people around me. I don't know if it's the same for you, but many millennials and young adults are doing that. They seek purpose while they make money. They travel. They're flexible. They are not delaying their lives from what I can see. So I think the change is happening for sure. And part of the responsibility, like I said, is lies on us. Like, we need to figure out what we want to do, our strengths, our passion. How can we use it for the benefit of others? What kind of work can we do to have a social impact? So all those questions take time, which also is a good reminder for young people out there, because I feel like they put too much pressure on themselves to know their purpose at 23. No, it usually doesn't come that early. But take the time to figure this out, because it is worth it. It doesn't mean it's easy, but it just will change the world one person at a time. And also, I want to believe that we're all leaders wherever we are. If we're retired, we can coach and mentor people. If we are responsible for teams, we can definitely make the impact there. If we are a business owner, we can make the impact there. So if we question these important things and see that we can change these facts, it's going to make a big difference. That's the individual responsibility. And then when it comes together as a collective power, we can change this. The first thing is to believe that making money and enjoying work are not mutually exclusive. I think many of us got into this, we bought this concept that it is mutually exclusive. Either I'm enjoying my life or I'm working. So it's not that case, because we know by now, and I'm sure you can all think of at least one person, hopefully it's you, that is not doing that and enjoying life. And we know by now, and you can tap me in the shoulder later too, I have so much research that I have collected over the years that shows when people enjoy the work they do, they are healthier, they are happier. And they've had even a research that shows if people love what they do, their work, their life is better. They love their life even better. Think about those circles we talked about. That circle of work is in the circle of life, right? So it's not separate. That's why we mentioned that. And I see the conditioning every single day. Just a little story with a client that I had the other day. He just got laid off from a big brand name, big layoff, because they lay off people every 6 months now. And then now he found a job at a small company, and he says, like, this is the first time I'm seen. This is the first time I'm appreciated, and I'm making good money. And then we talk about stability, and he says, oh, maybe for a stable job, this small company is not good enough. Maybe I should look for a big brand name. Well, he just got laid off from that. And it's still the conditioning we have, right? Big company means stability, but it doesn't mean stability for your own work, right? Or you're getting laid off even if you do nothing wrong these days, unfortunately. So at the end of the day, doing and finding and doing the work we love is not the easiest thing. Yes, it takes time, but it is so worth it. And we can change all this suffering and this dying for a paycheck concept if we really work on it. And then we have to accept the reality. Yes, we need a job to pay the bills. I'm never ever ignoring that reality. I'm in the same situation. but we can bring our passion and strength to what we're doing right now, at least. Like if you're good at communication, if you love connectedness, that's your strength, you can bring it to the work that you do already, but still keep on looking for what you want to do. And do not ever give up on the dreams that you have. And if we believe it, it's the best journey and we can leave the excuses behind. And it always reminds me, that's the last thing I want to say before we go into the conversations, but it's from the Up in the Air movie. And George Clooney asked this guy, how much did they pay you to give up on your dreams?
Mm.
So I don't know if you watched the movie, but I would highly recommend it. So that's where I want to end what I want to say about this topic, but very eager to hear your experiences and everything. So the first question that I have for you is, I have summed up some of the things that I've seen over the years of what gets in the way of doing the work we love. And I want to ask you the same question. What got in the way of doing the work you love for you or the people around you? So I would